Imagine earning $118 a month. That's not your daily rate, that's your monthly salary. Now imagine trying to pay $536 in monthly expenses with that income. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and sometimes shocking reality of living costs in Monrovia, Liberia, where the math just doesn't add up for many residents.
And what's really interesting is that Monrovia is actually considered one of the least expensive cities in the world, ranked 8,410th out of 94 cities globally.
Wait, how can it be one of the least expensive cities, yet so unaffordable for locals?
Well, that's the paradox we're going to unpack today. The average salary only covers about 6 days of living expenses. That's 0.2 months.
That's mind-boggling. Let's break down these costs. What does housing look like in Monrovia?
So, a one-bedroom apartment in the city center runs about $223 per month, while outside the center, you're looking at around $148.
That's nearly 2 months' salary just for rent at the lower end.
Exactly. And then you've got utilities, electricity, heating, water, running about $38 for one person.
What about internet? That's pretty essential these days.
An internet plan with 50 megabytes per second or more costs around $27 per month.
You know, I'm curious about the history of Monrovia. It has some fascinating American connections, right?
Ah, yes. Monrovia was actually founded in 1822 as a haven for freed American slaves, and it's named after US President James Monroe. It's a really unique historical connection.
That's fascinating. But let's get back to modern-day costs. What about food expenses?
Food costs can really add up. A basic lunch menu in the business district runs about $3.24.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Well, remember that's in the context of that $118 monthly salary. A dinner for two at a mid-range restaurant costs about $20.
Right, that's nearly 17% of the monthly salary for just one dinner out.
And grocery costs can be significant too. A dozen eggs costs about $1.58. A kilo of chicken breast is $4.37.
What about transportation? How do people get around?
A local transport ticket is relatively affordable at 34 cents, and a monthly pass is about $13.
That seems more reasonable compared to other costs.
Yes, but taxi rides for about 8 kilometers cost around $6, which can be significant for many residents.
I noticed something interesting about Monrovia's port. It's pretty crucial to the economy, isn't it?
Absolutely. The port is vital for exporting iron ore and manufactured goods like agro-food products and refined petroleum.
Yet, despite this economic activity, there's still this huge gap between wages and living costs.
That's right. The total monthly cost for a single person, including rent, is about $536.
And for families?
A family of 4 needs about $1,276 per month to cover all expenses.
That's more than 10 times the average monthly salary.
And what's particularly challenging is that imported goods tend to be especially expensive.
Can you give us some examples?
Well, imported cheese costs about $7.2 per kilo, and imported beer runs about $3.33 for a small bottle.
How do people manage with these costs?
Many rely heavily on local produce and services, which tend to be more affordable than imported goods.
What about housing options? Are there alternatives to traditional rentals?
A 3-bedroom apartment in the city center costs about $402, but in cheaper areas, it's around $270.
Still way beyond what most locals can afford.
Exactly, and mortgage interest rates are quite high at about 12.71%.
That must make homeownership really difficult for most people.
It does. The property market is particularly challenging for locals, with prices in the city center around $1,537 per square meter.
What about quality of life factors? How does Monrovia rank there?
The city has a quality of life score of 27 out of 100, ranking 8,877th globally.
That's not great.
No, and it reflects the challenges with infrastructure and basic services.
What kind of infrastructure challenges are we talking about?
Many areas lack reliable electricity and water supply, which adds to the cost burden for residents.
How does this affect daily life?
People often need backup power solutions or water storage, which adds to their living costs.
It seems like a cycle. High costs make it hard to improve infrastructure, and poor infrastructure leads to higher costs.
That's exactly right. And it particularly affects healthcare access and quality.
Speaking of healthcare, what are those costs like?
Healthcare facilities are limited, and most expatriates are advised to have comprehensive health insurance that includes medical evacuation.
That's another significant expense for residents.
And it's particularly challenging because the healthcare infrastructure is still developing.
How has the cost of living changed over time?
The Consumer Price Index has been steadily increasing, reaching 794.63 points in late 2025.
What does that mean for everyday people?
It means their purchasing power continues to decrease while prices keep rising.
Are there any positive economic indicators?
Well, the GDP growth rate was 4.8% in 2024, showing some economic progress.
But that growth isn't necessarily reaching everyone?
No, the benefits aren't evenly distributed, and the gap between costs and wages remains a major challenge.
As we wrap up, what's the key takeaway about living costs in Monrovia?
The key issue is the massive disparity between local wages and living costs. While Monrovia might seem inexpensive by global standards, it's actually quite unaffordable for most residents.
It really challenges our perspective on what affordable means, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows how global cost comparisons can be misleading without considering local economic conditions.